Hello. So I have made videos in the past regarding the pros and cons of the adult industry, things that you should know before considering getting involved. And I've gotten a lot of interesting feedback over the past couple of years regarding those videos, both positive and negative. I try to just look at everything in a neutral way because at the end of the day, it's all an individual experience. I'm just simply sharing my experiences with other people to hopefully help guide them in the direction that is truly right for them by spreading information that I think is valuable and informative. Anyways, so I also wanted to talk about OnlyFans. Now, over the past few years, this has become a pretty prominent platform for both entertainers, but primarily adult entertainment. And it's basically a subscription-based model that allows performers to have full control about their content. And I have a few different perspectives on this, right? First off, I think it's an amazing thing that finally performers are given more control over what is out there on the internet and what they are making income from. Because in the past, you solely had to mainly rely on working for actual companies, and performers were not giving royalties. You're paid a flat rate, and there's a lot of things that go into that world that I don't think are very supportive of the performer themselves. If you have any curiosity, you can look at the other videos I've made about things you should know about getting involved in the adult industry. I talked more in length about that, but this I'm trying to focus more on OnlyFans. So yeah, giving the performer more control is an awesome thing. It's allowed people to look at themselves more as content creators rather than just an actress or an actor or a performer, right? Just showing up to set and doing something. It allows you to be in creative control about, things that you want to do, the people that you want to work with. So those are really positive aspects that I think has made a positive influence on this industry. Similar, I guess, to, webcam or people that already had their own sites, but OnlyFans is a very valuable monetary asset for a lot of people in this industry, myself included. So what I did want to talk about is that a lot of people don't realize, though, the positive, negative things that can surround themselves by going down this path. I quit shooting mainstream porn, several years ago. It was a variety of factors. It was just wanting to gain more stability in my personal life, having more healthier relationships, and also just because I wanted to focus my energy into things that I actually really cared about, primarily nutrition and yoga and drumming. But I still utilize the adult industry to my advantage because basically, put it this way, if you spent years of your life doing something, developing, networking, putting content out, and developing a name for yourself, it's very hard to let go of something that is continuously giving you monetary income. And I've gotten a lot of negative feedback from people calling me a hypocrite because I've talked out against the adult industry, but I still participate in it to a degree, right? But I don't think people understand when you're involved in a world and create some type of name for yourself, it's very difficult to transition out entirely when you still are able to make valuable income. So I've significantly cut back in as far as the content I put out on mainstream sites or things like that. And I've tried to look at it as a more way where, okay, I'm having an OnlyFans because if people want to support me personally, they can follow my subscription site because this is something that I'm putting out on my own free will with that is involved with my personal life, right? So it's my relationship, my partner that I'm having sex with and making content with, or myself. And it's a very positive, healthy way of me expressing my sexuality. And that's something that can empower people, especially women, when it comes to gaining control of themselves and their sexuality. So that's the reason that I still utilize my OnlyFans, and I will continue to do so until I fully don't have a reason not to. So to anyone that's called me a hypocrite, think as you will, but when you're an attractive woman and you have the ability to have an OnlyFans or some type of subscription-based model where people follow you and are supporting you, I'd like you to think about if you would say no to that. Anyways, that's a psychological perspective that I don't need to get into. So moving forward, I did want to put out some warnings that people should think about before starting an OnlyFans, right? So during the pandemic especially, it became a really big thing for people to start having their own subscription sites because it was more easy to do during this time. People were stuck at home, a lot of their jobs were taken away, so they were looking at other ways of building income while they could be at home. And so people that were already involved in the adult industry, it was it blew up, right? And I started making significant more income than I have ever had. And now it's primarily one of the main sources of my income, which has been a very positive thing for me in one way, but it's also created a lot more pressure in my life. And this is something that I wanted to talk about to all the young creators that are up and coming, that are considering going down this path of doing adult work as far as OnlyFans. Maybe you don't want to shoot mainstream or in like public companies, but if you're still going the route of OnlyFans, this is just something to think about, okay? So coming from someone that has worked in the mainstream adult industry and also just worked for myself, this is a perspective that I think is worth just knowing about. So when you become a content creator, and whether it's just social media or, a platform like OnlyFans, you have this pressure that suddenly comes into your life to produce. And your self-worth to mainly the public eye, right? Like your followers, it is based on the content that you put out. And so as a creator, sometimes it's easy to get in a rut. It's easy to realize like, whoa, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to create. Or, I just need a break. Like I need some time to not do this. And the thing is, with sites like OnlyFans that are so competitive, if you start falling off the wagon, even just a little bit, you suddenly start to lose the top percent. You start to lose subscribers because it's so competitive and cutthroat, right? Like you have to be on top of your stuff. You have to have a routine, a schedule, a time, like, oh, I'm gonna make, a day designated to making content every week or whatever it is. So that is something to be aware about. It is something that you need to commit to. And sometimes people don't realize that there is that level of discipline and commitment that you might need to have in order to actually be successful on sites like this. So just something to consider. Are you ready for a type of commitment where you're going to have to regularly produce content? Some people fall into a cycle where they get depressed and they realize like, I can't keep up with this demand, or, I just want to have times where I'm having sex with my partner and I don't feel the need to film it. And that's something that I've struggled with sometimes where, my personal life intermingles with my content creating life, right? So there's certain times where I don't want to have to film. Like there's certain times when I'm engaging with my partner or that I don't want to film stuff. Like I just want it to be private. But then another part of me is like, oh wow, well, this would be great content to put on OnlyFans, And so that struggle is real. I know that sounds kind of silly to people that maybe don't have OnlyFans, but it's a real thing. And I feel the people that are most successful on these subscription sites are the people that are very genuine and they show you the real life. They show you what's going on in their real personal lives, right? It's like this secret world that you're introduced to, that you're paying for, right? So that's how I feel, because I try to be as genuine as possible on my OnlyFans, but I also want to have my own privacy. And so to all the content creators out there, young, new, whatever, be aware that it is important to still have privacy within yourself. It is still important to have a private life in your relationships and your sex life. You don't want to divulge everything into that. You want to still feel like you have things that is for you, not for the public, not for your subscribers or your following. And that can be social media too. You know, there's this bear all type of society that just exists now, where everyone feels like they have to tell the world everything and expose everything. And I don't want to say that that's wrong, because it is a positive thing when people are open and express everything that they're feeling or reveal things, right? That's how we grow and learn. But there is still such a level of importance for self-security and just self-balance to also keep certain things to yourself and have intimacy just for yourself, not for the public. Okay, so that's one really important thought that I think about a lot, and it's affected my life, you know, so I just wanted to maybe share that with other people to be prepared for that and make sure that you balance the different aspects in your life. You know, content creation, that's important, but then also make sure you have time for just yourself where you're not filming and you're not giving it to other people, okay? The next thing I wanted to talk about was developing other areas in your life, not just content creation, right? So a lot of the generations that are now coming up with technology, they kind of realize that, or, you know, they have access to this world where you can make a lot more money online, right? Look at the gaming industry, like look at Twitch, look at social media, look at advertising, like all these things have allowed people to make a serious living off of just the computer or their social media, right? And you know, I've benefited a lot from being able to make an income from primarily just myself, right? But there's also negative things that happen with this, right? So a lot of these worlds, like OnlyFans, they have an expiration date. Like, I hate to say it, but people sometimes fade out in the industry as, you know, age is a factor as you get older, right? It's a very competitive thing. Sometimes it's hard to stay relatable when you're basing your self-worth just on your physical appearance over time. And yes, some people, they age gracefully and they age in a way where their fans and supporters, they stay loyal for life. But there has to be this realistic realization, that's a funny alliteration. So there has to be this realization and this acceptance that, look, there is a lot of beauty in the world, and there's a lot of overstimulated, insatiable people that exist. So it is a very, very competitive industry, and you cannot lose your self-confidence if you feel like you're losing your following, if you feel like you're becoming less popular and your income starts to dwindle because, you know, you're just not as popular as you used to be. That's something that might happen over time, and people need to accept that. There's a shelf life for performers, mainly mainstream, right? But even in subscription websites like OnlyFans or webcamming or anything like that, there is shelf life. There is the reality that people may get bored with you, that people maybe don't want to watch you anymore. That happens. And so people need to accept that and be realistic about that. And, you know, the longevity of these type of industries are often not that long. So developing other areas in your life is so important. You cannot base your self-worth primarily on your physical appearance. And this mainly is focused on women, because women are so competitive with each other. They're constantly comparing themselves with each other. I mean, understandably so. Like, there's so much pressure on us from the media, from movies, from entertainment, from porn, from all these things to look the best, to be the best, to do all this, right? And it can be so overwhelming and emotionally draining. And I understand, because I've been through the depths of it, from body image issues to self-acceptance to tattoos to no tattoos to implants to not implants. I mean, it's very, very difficult to navigate through these waters sometimes and to keep your head on level. So I understand if you're going through that, right? I mean, all of us do. All of us have insecurities. All of us have days where we feel terrible about ourselves. But my main point is that you cannot dedicate your self-worth based on your physical appearance. You have to have other things also that you're bringing to the table, okay? Learn a trade, go to school, read, learn, grow, have a hobby, have other things in life that you're truly passionate about. Have things that give you such energy, that make you feel alive. That is so important, okay? Having an OnlyFans is not gonna be that for you. OnlyFans, it could be a job and it can bring you maybe stimulation and the opportunity to create and do new things and collaborate with people. It can have a lot of positives, but it also can steer you away from what really matters in life. And that is finding things that make you feel alive and help you live the most optimal level of yourself, okay? So please, spend more time learning outside of that realm. Don't dedicate your whole life to becoming a content creator and just giving everything to other people. Like, do things for yourself. Learn things, do things that make you feel so happy and give you meaning besides just doing selfies and taking sexy photos and videos. Like, there's more to life than that, okay? So please. All right. Next thing, be aware that when developing an OnlyFans and starting to make an income on that, you may steer away from having as structured discipline in work ethics. So what I mean by this is, it's kind of difficult to describe, right? But when people, because I've seen this a lot happen, with especially the younger people coming into this type of work, it's easy to get caught up in making money in an easy way. And I mean, I can speak to this because, you know, shooting in porn, right? Like when you're young and you're just given thousands of dollars for a shoot here and there, like in one day, it's easy to get used to making money like that. And OnlyFans can be similar, right? Like, or even, you know, fast-paced jobs where like you are making things in an easy way, I guess you could say. Not to say that like content creation is easy, but for some people, it doesn't require that much time and dedication. So you can do it and like have a lot of free time, right? But a lot of these people that are getting successful on OnlyFans without having to do that much, a lot of them are losing the work ethic in other areas of their life, right? Because the money's coming in, you don't have to do that much, you're attractive, you're young, like you're living in the moment. Like that's a positive thing, but you should also make sure that you put in time working towards things that have a more long longevity, have a more structured future, right? That will bring value to the workforce, that bring just value to humanity, to society. Like keep doing things that make you a more valuable asset in society. That's a very important thing, right? Like you want to feel useful. Like you don't want to feel like, oh yeah, I make good money, but I just have my OnlyFans. Like you should have other things that you can bring to the table. I mean, even if you don't want to have a job where you're working full time, you know, plus the OnlyFans, because hey, like if you're making good money doing that, like good for you, but you should also not lose your hard work ethic. Like don't get lazy is what I'm trying to say. Like don't become so reliant on becoming, you know, making money this way. And then maybe one day it starts to run out, or you get in a relationship and your partner doesn't want you doing that anymore. Like maybe you need to kind of make changes. Then suddenly like you have to get back to working in a different way. Like, oh, I have to have a 9-to-5 job or have a career. Like it, you know, it may be way too shocking and hard to adjust if you're not also maintaining work ethic even when you're having an OnlyFans. So sorry, that sounds confusing, but what I'm trying to say is just make sure you also dedicate time doing useful work besides OnlyFans, like things that can bring value to society besides just entertainment, right? You know, like just the whole sex industry. Even if that means like volunteering and doing helpful things for society, charitable work, like that can have profound benefits long-term for yourself and society. Like you don't want to just lose that ability to bring value besides OnlyFans. Okay, so be useful. That's all I'm trying to say. Do other things besides sex work, because especially women when you just rely on sex work to make a living, and I'm sorry if this sounds like so brutal, but it's just, I've been through this, and like I'm a living example of why it's important to also do other things outside sex work. I mean, I just treated sex work like a job. I don't like saying sex work, like the adult industry. I treated that as a job, right? And it served purposes in points in my life, and I learned a lot about who I am and all this, blah, blah, blah. But I never lost my work ethic. Like, I continued to be a hardcore musician. I continued to work in the health and wellness world. I got all my certifications. I went back to school, like, while I was still working in the adult industry. So I never lost that work ethic because I didn't want to lose who I was as a person. It's easy to get caught up in the adult industry and that world and get caught up partying or just, losing yourself like in this sexual fucking tornado. You don't want to lose who you are. You don't want to lose what your morals are. You don't want to lose who you are as a person. So make sure you continue to do things that you're soulfully dedicated to outside of the adult world. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the main points that I wanted to say, and don't look down at yourself and feel discouraged if you're not able to find success through subscription sites like OnlyFans. It's very difficult sometimes for people to achieve success if you don't already have an existing following that you can promote with. It's very easy to get discouraged. And to anyone that's trying to start out or is new, I would ask yourself, is a persistent commitment of content creation, is that really what I want to do? Am I going to feel emotionally blocked, or am I going to feel numb and desensitized if I start to always film my private sex life? Is that something that I can do on a regular basis? Because these are things that you're going to have to ask yourself, because when it comes up and you're dealing with it, sometimes people are surprised how much it actually affects them on a psychological level. So I'm just trying to make you a little bit more aware and to get spiritually stronger within yourself before you enter an industry where it's very easy to become soulless, okay? It's very easy to lose your soul when you work in the adult industry. So just be aware of these things and be responsible, be conscious, and please be involved in other things besides the adult industry. Build yourself in other areas of your life, not just through adult work. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up because I feel like I kind of made my points. I'm gonna try to make another video about tips and things for growing your OnlyFans and whatnot. And any other topics that you guys would like to hear, comment, and hopefully you guys are positive. Or if you're negative, I'll deal with it. But thank you guys for listening. And if you want to check anything else out, my website is felicityfueled.com. My Instagram is felicityfueled, and my Twitter is felicityfueled also. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.